Everyone, this is Andrea Saavedra with the GABA team, and today I will show you how to do a property research. This applies when you are either representing a buyer or a seller. In either case, you need to know information about the property in order to get the correct disclosures ready for that specific transaction. It can either be preparing a contract offer or listing documents. Let's go over the steps to doing the property research, okay? First of all, you're gonna get the property detail information from Realist. You go into Matrix, you're gonna go under Public Records and Realist tags. Click on it, and you should be able to type the address information on the left-hand side usually, okay? It's right here. And let me type in my information, 9507 Shadow Ridge. This information is popping up because I had already typed it before. So let's do search. And this will give me my property detail information. This is exactly what I need, okay? I normally print this form and write on it to get, so it makes it easier for me to figure out what are the disclosures I need, okay? So in this case, let's pretend I printed the form and I have my information here, okay? So the first thing I want to know is if the property is in a flood zone. Keep in mind, this information I'm not going to get from Realist. I'm going to go ahead and figure out what is the county that the property is in and make sure that I go into the right map to check if it's or not in a flood zone. So I'm going to go into property research, my Harris County FEMA map. They have a disclosure, I accept. On the left-hand side, I enter my address information. Okay, and then you click Find. There we go. I always make sure that my property is showing up where it actually is, right? So I know my property is close to 249 in Loera. So yes, it's right here. So it's the correct information that I have here. It's right here on the left-hand side. It will give you information about floodway, 1%, 100%, 100-year, floodplain, 0.2% 500-year floodplain, and 1% coastal floodplain. As you can see, this right here, it's 1% 100-year floodplain. The lender will require that you do purchase, that the buyer purchases flood insurance. But if you go to the light blue, which will be this one, then which is the 0.2% 500-year floodplain, the lender does not require that the buyer purchases flood insurance. So it's good. That means the possibilities of that specific property flooding are very little, okay? So in this case, my property is not in a flood zone, which is good news. So I will, check here and let myself know that it's not in a flood zone. I usually, for this one, I usually use this abbreviation, which means it's not in a flood zone, okay? But if for any instance this property is in the 100-year, then I will say yes. And if it's in the other one, which is the one that don't need a flood insurance, but it's still in the 500, then I just do 500-year, okay? So these are the things that help me determine whether my property is or not in a flood zone. Again, this one is not in a flood zone, so I'll just mark it that way. And the next thing I want to know is if I need a lead-based paint addendum, okay? So I take a look at the year that my property was built, which is right here, and it was built in 1979. That means I do not need a lead-based paint addendum because this is only applying for properties that were built on or before 1978. So my property was built in 1979. I don't need a lead-based paint addendum, so I would just check here. No, I don't need that one, okay? Then we go down and we take a look at this part, which is the Homeowners Association addendum. This one, I normally don't have that information in this form, but I will let you know here how to get that. Search for MLS properties that are either active, pending, or sold within the last year to figure out if there is a Homeowners Association. In this case, let me go. Again, let's go back to Matrix. Let's go to search single family quick. And I'm going to go search the subdivision, okay? And the subdivision for this one is Charter Wood. and then go to results. It's only giving me one property, so let me go back. And instead going to my legal subdivision, just Charterwood. And I want to get all of those properties, which is, active, option pending, pending, continue to show, and pending, okay? First, I'm gonna check that. So I do have 3 properties. So I take a look at this one and go down to where it shows whether the property is or not in a homeowners association. So see how this one says, is there a homeowners association? This realtor is saying no. I always want to make sure that we're looking at the right area as well, okay? So this one, it's in the right area, it looks like. So it's not in a flood. I'm sorry, they're saying that there's not a homeowners association. Let me take a look at the next listing. The next listing is saying that there is a homeowners association. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. The next one is saying that there is a homeowners association. At that point, I really think that there is a homeowners association. So I will add that form to my addendums. Okay, then you go down to figure out if the property is or not in a flood, in a mud district area. Okay, you go to the jurisdiction, take a look at this on the left hand side, and if the property is in a mud district, it will let you know Charterwood mud. This is pretty clear that it's in a mud district, okay? But if it's not in a mud district, it will say, let's say, City of Houston, okay? And that means it's the City of Houston. They don't pay mud water taxes. They don't have a mud district, so you don't need the form for that. In this case, I'm gonna do yes because we need it, okay? So I'm gonna do yes. And then another thing that I like to take a look at, is the taxes, okay? The buyers usually want to know how much is their monthly payment going to be, or how much are the yearly taxes. So I always take a look and make sure that it's the latest year that appears right here, okay? So that's the information I will give to my buyers. Let's take a look at the next page. Another thing it's important for buyers to know is, when did the seller purchase the property? Why is that? Because if they have FHA financing, a pre-approval for FHA, FHA does not allow that the owner is entitled less than 90 days. They will not lend money. So we want to make sure that the owner has been entitled for more than 90 days. In order to make sure that we're going to be able to do the financing for this buyer, okay? So in this case, these people purchased the property back in July 30th, 2014, which means it's more than 90 days that they have been entitled. Therefore, it does not affect my buyer that I have with an FHA loan, okay? And then the next thing we want to know, or you want to take a look at the form, is this. I always take a look and check the mortgage history. If I'm representing a buyer, this is going to help me negotiate better for him, because I know, or he's giving me an idea as to how much money the owner of this property owns on this house, okay? So, or what type of financing they had at the time. So in this case, another thing that is very important is to know if they have a mortgage. They will normally have a survey, because every time there's a mortgage, the lender requires that the buyers purchase a survey. So I always ask the listing agent, hey, I see that they do have a mortgage, or they had a mortgage before. Can you please find out if the seller does have a survey? And if there is an existing survey, I'm gonna need the form that is T47 affidavit. And the T47 affidavit is basically a form that will let you know if there is an existing survey, if anything has changed from the moment that the survey was performed up until today. So let's say they purchased the house back in 2007, or this one 2014, and in 2015 they added a patio, a covered patio to the property. Well, that changed the survey. And if they don't have a copy of it, then they have to add that information on the T47 affidavit. So that basically lets you know if there had been any changes to the survey. you always need this form if there is an existing survey. So make sure you request that information from the listing agent. If you are doing the listing, make sure that this is filled out by your sellers to make sure that you provide the correct disclosures to the buyers, okay? Then go down to the form and you will see this layout. And this is a rough layout of the land, but it gives you a pretty good idea as to how, you know, it's laid out and what is the how big it is and what is the frontage of the property. In this case, my street is Shadow Ridge. That means this is the front and this is the layout of the property. So some people want to know, hey, what is the front space of my property and how deep is it, or you know, how long? So you have to figure this out from looking at this. Now keep in mind that these are public records, and in order for them to be able to make sure that they have correct figures, they do need to get a survey. But this will give them a pretty good idea, and this will help them make a decision whether they like the layout of the land or not. Okay, this is very helpful when you have a buyer that's buying acres, so to speak. So and that's it, people. This is how you get your property research. Now let's go back to the bottom right here. So I already know that I need the track 1 to 4 contract, right? My buyer does have financing, so I need the third-party financing addendum. In this case, so I definitely need this too. Do I need a lead-based paint addendum? No. Do I need an HOA? Yes. Do I need a mud district? Yes. Do I need a T47? This one, it's possible that I need. I'm not 100% sure. And what I am sure of is that I do not need a lead-based paint. So this is how you determine which are the forms that you will get ready once you prepare your contract offer, okay? It's always, people ask me, oh, I should just do the 1 to 4 contract and the third-party financing, and I'll do the rest later. It's only going to take you a few minutes to do your research and to get the right forms, and it's always going to make you look very professional when you submit a complete offer to the seller or the listing agent. So do your job, please. It's going to take a little bit longer, but you don't have to be doing it over and over, and it's worth it. Trust me. Thank you, and I hope to see you on the next video.